So this table is telling me that with my full employment, matlab that if I use all my resources, I get this combination. Now this combination is clearly telling me that I am putting zero resources in food. That's why I'm getting this. And all my resources is going towards clothing. And this combination, I will mark it on my graph over here, 0 food and 70 clothing. It's on the axis. Then what I do is I move some resource towards the food. Again, full employment is still taking place. All my resources being used, but I've moved some resources over here. So now I get 10 food and about 69 clothing. So obvious thing is that I have to give up something in order to get something. And what I'm giving up is just 1 million unit of clothing to get 10 million unit of food. That's a pretty good trade-off in the beginning. Then what happens is I move for another combination, I move some more resources over here. Now I get 20 of this and about 67 of the other. And that's my point over here. And I keep doing that. I move my resources away from clothing and more towards food. And this time I get somewhere around 64. And then I get 60. And then it is 54. Comes down to 46. And then 34. And then eventually 0, because all my resources have been moved from clothing to food, so I can make maximum 80 food and nothing of clothing. Let's connect the dots. And this is my production possibility curve. Let's write a definition. Okay, what is a production possibility curve? I expect you to define production possibility curve in exactly these words. A production possibility curve shows maximum combinations of two goods that can be produced by fully employing the given resources. That's your definition for production possibility curve. It shows maximum combination that can be produced by fully employing. Fully employing means all resources being used to the maximum capacity. All right. Now, if I say, what are these different combinations representing? I say that these different combinations on the PPC curve shows choices. These are my choices that I can produce. Okay, that's what it shows. Now let's talk about the opportunity cost. The first is, let's say, what is the opportunity cost of increasing production from 0 food to 10 food? What is my opportunity cost of increasing production from 0 food to 10 food? That you are producing a combination of this. What is this combination telling us? that you are producing 30 clothing and 30 food. What do we say to this point? Can you produce this? Do you have resources enough to produce this? We don't have resources. We do have resources. The thing is about this point X. The point X is telling us you are making 30 food and 30 clothing. I say it is attainable. Attainable meaning achievable, producible. You can produce it. However, the problem is I am not using my resources effectively. It's an inefficient use of resource. How do I know that? Check it out. If I'm producing 30 food, on the basis of my PPC, I should be able to produce 64 clothing also. I have the capacity to do that. But I'm only making 30. So 34 ka resource is being wasted here. That's why I say it's inefficient and there will be unemployment because of this. A point inside the curve is attainable, but it is inefficient and there is resource unemployment. A point on the PPC curve, is attainable. I can produce it. And it is efficient because all my resources are being fully employed. These are some very important terminologies that you are required to use. Attainable, efficient, full employed. That's what a PPC represents. However, let's say if I mark a point something like, let me mark it over here somewhere, like this. I point Y up there, which is saying a combination of 50 food and 70 clothing. Can I produce that? Do I have the capacity to produce 50 food and 70 clothing? This point Y. It is an unachievable, unattainable. Why? Because if I am producing, you don't have the resources. If I had 50 food, the maximum I can make is 54 clothing. So 70 is impossible, at least for now. So I would say, why is that so? It's because of scarcity, lack of resources. This is my production possibility model, production possibility curve model. Just the definition of PPC is this. PPC, it shows maximum combination of two goods that can be produced by fully employing the given resources. This is my definition for the PPC line. But if I have to explain the PPC model, I have to speak about more things here. This is in its entirety, this is the entire production possibility curve model in which you have a PPC which shows maximum combinations that you can produce. They all are fully employed efficient points. Point inside the curve is attainable, however, they are inefficient and unemployment is happening. A point outside the curve shows unattainable and scarcity. Then you can even show these opportunity costs, how the more of food you're making, your opportunity cost, first what it was just -1, then it was -6, and then it was -34. So the opportunity cost is increasing. So we'll do a couple of practice in the next slide. The way this is done is, it says what is the opportunity cost of increasing production of good A from 0 unit to 1. So if you're at 0, then according to PPC you're here making 12 good Bs, and if you make 1, that means you come over here. So moving from point A to point B, you get 1 more of this, but you lose 2 of this. Then it says you're moving from 1 unit to 2 units. Moving from 1 unit, so you're at point B, and you're moving to 2 units, that means you're moving to point C. Again, in order to have 1 more of this, you give up. You get it? And so this is an example of constant, increasing or decreasing, yeah, zero opportunity cost. What's happening to your opportunity cost as you're making more of good A? What? So it's going from opportunity cost for first unit you gave up 2, second unit gave up 4, third unit you gave up. It's called an increasing opportunity cost curve. This shape of the PPC is called an increasing opportunity cost curve because you are giving up more and more as you are making more of good A. Try this one out. So you move from, you give up, and then give up 2. This is an example of constant, increasing, constant. So a straight line is for a constant opportunity cost curve. So this is how it works. In your course, there are only 2 production possibility curve which is part of your course. One is the increasing opportunity cost curve, the concave one, and one is the straight line in which you are giving up exactly the same amount every time you produce 1 more of good A, and it's a consistent one.